I'm going to show you how you can use Facebook, Insta, X, and so on to actually market to a B2B audience. So let's jump straight in. All right, so the problem that typically is why people stay away from consumer social medias when trying to target a B2B audience is typically two things. The first one is a very real problem. The second one is mostly an imagined problem, but we're going to get over both. So the first problem, which is a real problem, is how do I target that person? So if I'm trying to target, call it in this case, the example I'm going to show is a hotel owner. Well, I can't really get to that person in any other B2C social media, Facebook, Insta, or X, because there's no audience filter there which allows me to do that. I can't go after job titles. I can't really even go after industries properly. All the audiences that I have that are probably close to the right type of person are implicit audiences, meaning that I can go after people that like travel. I can go after people that maybe even like a specific hotel or like hotels or whatever the case is, booking.com and so on. But none of those actually imply that this person is the decision maker of a hotel, that they're owner of a hotel, or even if they're in the hotel industry, they might just like to travel. And that's the problem people typically face. So getting to the audience or defining the audience in that platform is typically impossible because they have implicit data, not explicit data. Second problem, which again, this is more the imagined problem, is, well, people say, if I'm trying to reach a B2B person, let's say a hotel owner, that person doesn't come to Facebook. They're not active on Facebook or Insta X. And why I say that's an imagined problem, because that's mostly not true. People believe people in the business world never go on social media. And I always ask, if I'm speaking to someone in the business world, I say, are you on social media? And no one's ever said no yet. So I really believe that's an imagined problem. But let's assume that's not an imagined problem. If that is the case, if there is no audience to actually go after, if we upload a list of profiles and those profiles are never active on the platform, all that will happen is we'll spend no money because there won't be an audience to run to, it'll be too small, and the platforms won't run. So in the worst case scenario, if that imagined problem is actually true, all that will happen is we spend no money. But again, believe me, that's not true. So let's jump in. So why I'm here in Sales Navigator as opposed to Facebook or Insta is we're going to actually build our explicit defined audience within Sales Navigator, and then we're going to use one or two tools to then get it into Facebook. So let's go ahead. So we're going to try and target hotel owners. So I have a few ways to do that. Again, I'm in Sales Navigator. I can pretty much target by any filter I want here. And I'm going to choose current job title. I'm going to say owner. And it's going to give me a list of every single owner on LinkedIn, really. So I can see 18 million people just kind of follow along here. Let's even make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to say CEO because I might want to target CEOs. So I can go through this whole list here and add all the people that are relevant. So this will go a little bit bigger here now because not only owners are included, but also CEOs. So now I'm on 23 million people. Cool. Now we want to niche it by industry. And I have a few ways to do that. I can just use Navigator's industry filter. So I can say hotels, and I can say hospitality. That's another one they have. Or I can even use some keywords. So I can actually filter this with some keywords in here, and I can say, boutique hotel owner, and I can get to the whole list there. But this is a really powerful way how I can actually get to my perfect audience on Navigator. But again, that's only halfway there because the whole point of this is to use one of the B2C social media to these people. So enter platform called Phantom Buster. And what Phantom Buster allows us to do is actually import a URL from Sales Navigator into Phantom Buster. What that does, it actually scrapes that URL. It extracts all the email addresses of the people from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which we can then upload into Facebook, Insta, or X. So I'm going to give you a quick example of one. We have one already set up. So let's just go into this Phantom. They call it Phantom when you're playing around with it, or when you've set it up. So this is the one I set up, and this is actually the URL that I sucked in order to actually extract it. And you can do, just to jump back to Navigator, you can do anything. So like you can go to any detail. So not only from industry, title, and so on. I can even say, you know what, I just want to make sure I don't get to my customer. So I'm going to exclude, let's just say Marriott as an example. So Marriott hotels, let's exclude that. And now I have that same list, still a relatively large list, 270K people. And within that list, it's just everyone excluded Marriott hotels. And this URL therefore obviously updates. and I can use that in here. So I can get extremely specific in the URL that I upload. Then I'm going to say save. I'm going to progress a little bit. In this particular phantom, I was actually sending them a message, but let's just kind of jump forward around that. It wasn't really for extraction purposes. And then I'm going to actually extract the list in Phantom Buster. I'm just going to go to the top boards. So let's just go back a bit. I'm just going to go to all the phantoms that are available. Here's the dashboard. It's a bit to show you all the things we can play with. And these are all the phantoms that basically start with Sales Navigator. So here's the one I would select, which is basically scraping all the data from a specific Navigator profile, including emails. So not only will I get the email, get everything about them from first name, last name, hotel they work in, phone number if they exist there, LinkedIn profile URL, and so on and so on. So this is where what I'm going to do to actually extract all my URLs, all my profiles from LinkedIn. Once I've done that, then I'm going to do a simple add. I'm going to, again, use Facebook as the example here. I'm going to add them straight into Facebook. We're going to show you now. This is the simplest of all steps. All we need to do is go into our audience list in Facebook. Within Facebook, we're going to click on customer list. We're going to say next, and we're going to download the file template if we just kind of need some help in terms of how to set it up. But we're going to continue from there. And all we're going to do from here is upload our list, which we've now first created in Navigator, scraped in Phantom Buster, and now uploaded here. Now, and that's it. Now what we've done, we've created an explicit audience based on all LinkedIn's profile data, which we can now target across Facebook. And obviously you can do the same on Insta, and obviously you can do the same on X. And what this does, it allows us to reach into B2B audiences, which were previously inaccessible on all these platforms. And I think we'll be able to get some crazy, amazing results. One last thing just to note, what's powerful in this, or what's important in this to note, is that this is using any social media is not direct marketing. So we can't use this approach really. I mean, we can, but it's not really right to use this approach for an outreach direct mail or SMS because that's really unsolicited direct email. When you're using these platforms, Facebook, Insta, X, and so on, you're essentially running ads to an audience, which is not direct marketing. It's audience targeted marketing, but it's not direct marketing. So I would stress doing this. It's right to do on a social media ad perspective, but don't use it for any of your direct marketing channels because those aren't your customers or that's not your prospect list. But again, no problem to use it across other ad formats where you're really using it as an audience enricher rather than as a direct outreach. But I hope that helps. I hope that allows you now to get actually into your B2B audiences across the biggest social media channels out there. Good luck.